Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome once again to another episode on Life Signatures Radio. We are talking about the keyword makeshift. And at the end of the day, we're going to look at the 5 advantages of a makeshift strategy that will elevate you above the waiters. Waiters are guys who are waiting for things to happen. You may waiting for things to become perfect before they can take a step. But when you implement a makeshift strategy, you go way ahead of them. In fact, you start discovering better ways of doing things than waiting for everything to be aligned so that you can be able to take advantage of it. So what do you do with this makeshift strategy? And I want to talk about that in the next several minutes. I want to talk about this makeshift strategy. And I want to talk about one more thing, and then we're going to look at the makeshift strategies. And then later on, we're going to look at the advantages, probably in the succeeding episodes and not in today's episode. But for today, let us learn one more thing. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Even as we've been discussing these things, I think you've been knowing, if you've been following, you've been knowing that there are some things that I am supposed to do and I am not doing them because I'm waiting for the technology to come. Of course, there are some moments in time when you will need to see the technology to be able to do something. For example, when they decided that they're going to go to the moon, the technology to take them to the moon was not yet there. It hadn't been discovered, so to speak. But they did whatever it is that they could do. They started the space center and they started learning and so on. There's a lot of makeshifting even when we don't know stuff. Today in the episode, I'm going to talk about excellence and versus makeshift strategies. Because when we talk about makeshift, people might be thinking, but you've got to get some form of excellence in stuff. You've got to deploy things with excellence. And if there is no excellence, then don't even attempt. I've had that school of thought before. That if there is no excellence, if there's whatever you're going to do doesn't have excellence, why do you attempt it? There is a heaven and earth difference, ladies and gentlemen, between doing something in a makeshift way and doing something excellently. When you're talking about doing something excellently, in my definition is that you're using whatever is available in this moment at this particular time to do the best, so that at the end of the day, when you look back, you can pat yourself on the back and say, that was my best. Now that is what excellence is all about, which means excellence varies from one level to another. The guy who was inventing the Stone Age and flint knives and fire and so on, at that moment, he was as excellent as the person who is using the microwave to cook. You get my point. It is about what you have in your vicinity, what you have at your disposal, and doing the best with it. Now, a makeshift strategy enables you to get started even before everything falls into place, so that you can gather momentum and you can proceed and you can learn, quote unquote, on the job. So where is the place of excellence? The place of excellence is in a makeshift strategy, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are churning out substandard stuff. And I'm going to talk tomorrow, I'm going to help you start understanding what exactly makeshift looks like. In fact, when you talk about what makeshift looks like, that's when you're going to understand, that's when you're going to get to understand why excellence is not necessarily an issue here. See, the point we are making is that when you are doing something in a makeshift strategy, it doesn't mean that there is substandard approach to it, half-hearted approach to it. It doesn't mean that there is no consideration to it. There is no attention to it. There is no finesse to it. No. Substandard means that there is information, there are resources, there is time, but you are approaching it with a lackadaisical, lazy way, and therefore you're just doing things because you really, honestly, at the end of the day, don't care. That's what substandard is. But in doing something in a makeshift way, but with excellence, it means that every single information, every single piece of resource that is available to you, you are channeling it and you are churning it into a process and into a product and into motion towards a particular direction. So make no mistake, a makeshift strategy doesn't necessarily mean that you're churning out substandard products. It shouldn't be so. In today's world, there is this thing called do-it-yourself, DIY tricks, all over the internet and all over the place, as well as a plethora of experts in the various niches. You have no excuse whatsoever to be substandard in your approach. Now remember, the makeshift strategy is what links you and your idea to motion. The key word here is motion. Like I said in the previous episodes, motion is the greatest friend in your pursuit of life for growth. The greatest friend in your pursuit of life is growth, but motion is currency in life. That's what you're doing. So why would you do a makeshift strategy? So that you can start moving. You can get motion. You can get momentum. Momentum can give you consistency. Consistency can give you growth. Growth can open up your eyes. If someone wanted to fund your idea, they are not going to fund that which is in the head. For the most part, they're going to fund your makeshift idea. That's what it is. But that again doesn't mean that makeshift is substandard. It doesn't mean that the makeshift is simply just putting things together for the sake of it. No. Makeshift strategy means that there is some excellence at that level. When you start making it the full bells and whistles and everything that is in between, you realize that excellence goes to another level. Then another level, and then another level. You see, there is basically no end to excellence. You might try this, you might try that. You can never bring excellence to a stop. Good, better, best. Do not let it rest until the good is better and the better is best. We can always be better. We can always have something better than it was yesterday. That's how we churn our lives. So in your makeshift strategy, things can be done using the makeshift strategy by employing do-it-yourself tricks and consultation from experts within your circles and so on. If you look at any major corporation today, any major corporation, I challenge you, if you look at it today, you realize that their first version of whatever it is that they're dealing with, look at Coca-Cola, their first product. You've seen those photos on the internet. Now, if Coca-Cola was to wait until they get a product like they have today, And someone was telling me the other day that Coca-Cola is not just a product. It's not just Coke, the drink. It is also a brand. The brand is the product, and the product is the brand, in addition to the Coke itself. If they just had waited, if they'd waited up to what they have, up to that moment they have what they have today, then their fast will never have been shipped. It will never have been sent out, and they will never have grown. They will never have had motion. They will never have had momentum. They would have stayed stuck in the place where they are. That's what happens in a makeshift strategy. Every single one of us can never be perfect at the get-go, even if you tried. And I know we have perfectionists among us. We have people whose profile is cautiousness. They've got to check all the boxes, dot all the I's, and cross all the T's before they get started. You'll be too late in this fast-moving world. So don't worry about excellence. Use whatever it is that you have at the moment and be excellent at it, knowing that there are levels of excellence. With incoming input, you add excellence. Incoming knowledge, you add excellence. Incoming expertise, you add excellence. Incoming technology, you add excellence. But just because the input is not there, technology is not there, expertise is not there, doesn't mean you don't get started. Get started and be excellent with what you have right now. But then when new things come, you add on to them and you become excellence. Tomorrow, we're going to start talking about exactly how a makeshift strategy looks like. But until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.